Ellen White Reconsidered, a series of presentations for people who have questions about Ellen White's writings. Today's episode is entitled Republishing Sketches of the Christian Experience and Views of Ellen G. White. Hi, glad you could join us today. Our episode is a response to some material that was published online by an apologist against Seventh-day Adventists. And I have attempted to try to explain things to him in the chat, which is a frustrating experience. So I thought I'd just create this brief video to explain for him and for others the points that I'm trying to make, the distinction that I'm trying to make. The charge is made by Jim of Academy Apologia. I'm not sure that's how he pronounces it, but that's the name, in a series he calls Defeating Adventism. And he is making some comparisons with Ellen White's early writings and making the accusation that she's trying to hide something. One of the charges that he makes comes from the preface of the book Early Writings. Now, notice the claim. It says, footnotes giving dates and explanations, an appendix giving two very interesting dreams, which were mentioned but not related in the original work, will add to the value of this edition. Aside from these, no changes from the original work have been made in the present edition, except the occasional employment of a new word or a change in the construction of a sentence to better express the idea, and no portion of the work has been omitted. Okay, so what is the original work that the preface is referring to? I happen to have on loan here the original work. This is two books bound together, the very earliest books that she ever published, Christian Experience and Supplement to Christian Experience and Views. And this is so very fragile that I purchased a photostatic copy of it to handle better. So I'm just going to show you this. This is the way that the original owner attached some other material from Ellen White to the front cover of it. That's not the original part. That's the way it's supposed to be. But I have this fragile edition of it. And what I'm going to show you here is a reprint. So this one is a little easier to handle. Same size, same paging. This is the original version, published in 1851 when Ellen White and James White were in Saratoga Springs. And then the second part of the book, which is paged separately, you can see there's a different cover for that. This one is published in 1854, once they had moved to Rochester, New York. And then her third book, which I don't have an original copy, but I have a facsimile edition, is right here. This is volumes 1 and 2 of Spiritual Gifts, published together. And Spiritual Gifts, volume 1, which you don't see a volume number on here because when it was first published, there was only one. So they didn't know there would be further volumes. But it was published in 1858. So the charge arose at the time that parts of Ellen White's first works were being hidden because this book had gone out of print after a certain amount of time. I also happen to have a reprint of this other one so that I can handle it a little bit easier too, Spiritual Gifts. So by the 1880s, we're talking about almost 30 years of time has elapsed. There are some dissidents of the Seventh-day Adventists who asserted that the church was hiding its early views as published in the early visions. So, as to lay it all out, the decision was made to publish again these books. Now, the first two books were published together in a volume that's frequently not known. Most people don't know that the first two volumes were republished. So that would be the equivalent of these two together. But to make sure, wow, dropped that one. That's not good. To make sure that it covered all of the writings from the earliest books, they also included Spiritual Gifts. So in this early edition, this is an 1891 fourth edition, but I have pictures of the title page of the second edition. They decided to publish all 3 books, calling it Early Writings, a new title. So it's Experience and Views, Supplement to Experience and Views, and The Great Controversy, or Spiritual Gifts, Volume 1. And they're paged separately. They're all in here. Now, what was the claim? The claim was that the contents of this and Volume 1 together are the same as in this. And they are. Although they chose to update some of the language to make it clearer. Ellen White was not highly educated when she began writing. As people do write and continue to read, it does improve their ability to write, but her primary education was limited. And she often expressed herself in colloquial phrases. For example, she was talking about crowns that had the weight of stars on them, and she said they were hung with stars. And one of the changes that came in this edition, instead of calling it hung with stars, which is an imagery that anybody that's been around fruit trees knows, if you get a tree that is just really loaded with fruit, the branches hang down. So it's hung with fruit. So instead of using that colloquial expression, they chose to substitute the word heavy with stars, which conveys the same meaning, but it just is a little bit more universal for most people to be able to understand. So the point I've been trying to make to Jim is that the statement that we quoted at the beginning and that he quoted in his video is the equivalence of these books equaling this book, and that there's nothing in there that is omitted. The only thing that's done is changing of some wording to make it simpler. That I'm not sure how he missed it exactly, because in the video at marker 11:58, somewhere in there, 11:55, he makes the point himself.
In 1849, here's what I found. I found the altered division, the removed one, in 1851, and in a sketch of the Christian experience, and in 1922 it was called Christian Experience and Teachings of Ellen White. Did you catch what I said? I found the vision altered as early as 1851. It was given in its full context in 1849. They already altered it and removed the words in 1851.
So Jim did the study himself and recognized that the changes from the article were made in the original book. So the book and the book are the same. He recognizes that they're the same. Interesting, isn't it? His problem has to do with the idea of verbal inspiration that Ellen White never claimed, and that many Christians recognize that an inspired author can change the wording. It's not divine dictation specific words, but the concepts. And so they write it out in their own words. We go to the book of Revelation. It says, write what you have seen. It doesn't say, take dictation. That's another matter. So his concept of inspiration is what is really the rub here. He recognizes that each of those books are virtually the same. Well, I thought I'd give that explanation for those that are missing the point here and what I was frustrated in trying to explain to him in the notes along with his video. Glad you could join us for this little explanation today. God bless you. May you have a great day.